one homework 2 about a complex number. Okay, the solution of the complex number. For the first one is easy because 9i minus 4i is equal to 5i. And the second one, you have two methods. Okay, so I can, because these two you can add together, therefore we get 5i. And remember, 5i times I equal to 5i squared. And remember, I squared equal to -1, so the answer will be -5. So for the third one, okay, it should be 30i to the power 4, and we know that I to the power 4 is equal to 1, so therefore it's 30. And for I to power 243, so our first step is think about, okay, it's 4 times 60, okay, it's 240, and the remainder is 3, right? So it should be equal to I to the power 3, and therefore it should be -I. So for part 2, okay, so add together it should become 4 plus 6i plus 2 minus 8i, and therefore it's 6 minus 2i. And the second one is 1 minus 2i, and then minus 3. Okay, pay attention, in this one should be, because negative times positive, it should be negative. Okay, 7i, so don't make this mistake, and it will become -2 minus 9i. And for part C, okay, just multiply together, okay, and you will get is -20, and then plus 10i, and plus 4i, and last one should be -2i squared. Okay, for the next step is -20 plus 14i, and remember, for I squared it should be equal to -1, and therefore it will become +2, so -20 plus 2 plus 14i, it will becomes -18 plus 14i. So in part D, it says a plus b. Okay, you still remember a minus b, a plus b format. It will becomes a squared minus b squared, right? So therefore it should become 2 squared minus, is a bracket first. Okay, you need to write down a bracket square, and therefore it should be 4 minus 9i squared, and we know I squared is equal to -1. Okay, so it will become 4 plus 9, and the result should be 13. Okay, so for part E, okay, most of you make a mistake, is a plus b squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Obviously, this one is wrong. Remember, it should be a plus b squared equal to, we have 3 terms. That means a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, remember this formula. So therefore, it will become 3 squared plus 12i, and then plus 4i squared. So it should be 9. And remember, this is -1 for I squared, then it's -4 and plus 12i. So the result should be 5 plus 12i. And for part F, okay, someone will multiply by 2i over 2i is also okay, but I will be simple. Just multiply I over I. That means for the numerator, it will become 5i, and denominator will be 2i squared. So therefore, it should be 5i over -2. Okay, we finish this one. And for part G, okay, someone make a mistake of the last 2 steps. Okay, for first step is easy, just multiply I over I. And you will get, for denominator, it will become I squared. And for the numerator, it will be I minus 2i squared. And therefore, it should become I plus 2 over -1. And most of you will write down as -1 plus 2r plus 2, -I plus 2, so it's wrong. Okay, because, okay, Mr. Wong write it for you, it should be because it's 1 over -1 times 2 plus I, so it will becomes -2 plus I, so the result should be, remember, it should be -2 minus I. Okay, so for the part H is just multiply by 1 minus 3i, and then 1 minus 3i. Okay, we call 1 minus 3i a conjugate. Okay, there's some extra wordings you can know is conjugate. Okay, 1 minus 3i we call conjugate. Sorry. conjugate. Okay, so if next time if the denominator is 1 minus 3i, okay, if next time then you need to multiply 1 plus 3i. Okay, get it? Okay, next time. Okay, so now just multiply it. Okay, we have some technique we don't need to multiply it. We don't need to expand it because we will have something to cancel it. Okay, so it's 1 square minus bracket 3i square, and I will get is 10 1 times 1 minus 3i and 1 plus 9, and you will get 10 times 1 minus 3i and over 10, and we can cancel it. Okay, so it's easy to simplify, okay, without any expansion. So for part I, okay, so in this time there are some technique. Okay, you can take out common factor 2, or be simple. Okay, just multiply the conjugate of 6 minus 8i. Okay, so we will multiply 6 plus 8i over 6 plus 8i. Okay, because these two pairs are conjugate. Okay, so, and therefore for the numerator it will be 6 plus 8i squared, and for the denominator it will be 6 square minus 8i bracket square. So it therefore is 36 plus 96i plus 64i squared, and for the denominator it will be 36 minus 64i squared. So it should be 36 minus 64 plus 96i. For the denominator, it should be 36 plus 64 is 100. Okay, so the final solution, it will become negative 28, okay, plus 96i over 100. Okay, and it is better for you to show it a plus bi format. Okay, that means you need to split it into two parts. One is real part, which should be negative 28 over 100 and plus 96 over 100i. So this is real part, okay, real part, and this is imaginary part. So the final step should be simplified, and therefore the answer should be negative 7 over 25 plus 24 over 25i. So that's the end of the question number I. And for the last question, which is similar as before, but this time we have k, we just treat it as a normal constant. It's okay. So for the first step, it's just multiply 2 plus I over 2 plus I, which is the conjugate of 2 minus I. And for the denominator, it will become 2 square minus I square. And for the denominator, it will be 2k plus ki plus 6i and then plus 3i square. And therefore, the denominator will become 5. And for numerator, okay, I will split into real part and imaginary part. Okay, for the real part, it should be 2k minus 3, right? Because I squared equal to negative 1, don't forget it. So, and plus, okay, I will take our common factor I here. So we need to split it into real part and imaginary parts. Therefore, 2k minus 3 over 5 and plus k plus 6 over 5 I. Okay, so that's the end of part A. And part B, if z is a purely imaginary number, so therefore remember it's real part of z equal to 0. So it is better for you to write down two steps, okay, because z is a purely imaginary number. Okay, so the real part of z is equal to 0, and therefore 2k minus 3 over 5 and equal to 0. And when I mark your homework, okay, some of you will write down 2k minus 3 equal to 1 as they make equal to 5, as they make a mistake is 0 times 5 is equal to 5. Okay, it's wrong. Okay, pay attention in it. Remember, for 0, multiply everything, so it should be equal to 0. Okay, so don't make the same mistake. So for the result should be 0 here, and therefore k will be equal to 3 over 2. So that's the end of the solution of the homework. I hope that you understand and do the correction. Okay, thank you.